Hey, in the following video that you are about to see, you're going to see a complete automation guide specifically designed for business owners. So this is not a nitty-gritty how to use tools kind of guide, because you probably can hire someone to do that for you. But in this video, we're going to see an intro to technical leverage, what are the core concepts of the main automation tools, how to design flows, how to establish ROI, how to choose the right tools, how to hire the right people, how to do change management within your organization, and much, much more. So this is specifically designed for service-based business who want to use technology to scale faster with technology and without overhiring and while keeping the profits sky high. Who am I? I'm Riccardo. I'm the founder of Uplifted Consulting. We are an automation agency. We help over 20 different service-based businesses in the past 6 months and shipped over 126 different automations. So without further ado, let's get started. I want to show you all the different things that we are going to cover here. So first off, this is a list of the things that we are going to cover. As I mentioned, we're going to start first off with technical leverage and intro to technical leverage. So I'm sure you are pretty familiar with the leverage pyramid. So in case you aren't heard this is a pyramid that shows increasing level of leverage, So first off, we have labor, which is the lowest form of leverage that you can use. And at the top, we have code and media. So the overall goal for us is to focus on the two highest forms of leverage for your business. So those are content and media. So a couple of examples that I have over here in regards to content is you post something once and the content is viewed forever, similar to this video or similar to this video where you search how to tie a tie and this was viewed 64 million times, sorry. So you can think about this video as a 1 to 64 million kind of leverage instead of a 1-to-1 leverage between a father that teaches his son how to tie a tie. The other part related to tech is the automation of specific process. So once you automate a process once, the process is automated forever. So this is an onboarding of a process that used to take me 2 hours for every client. Now it takes me 2 minutes. So I took that time back, and now every time I get a new client, I don't have any problem when it comes to onboarding. So the automation and the technology really allows you to tap into this specific leverage so that whether you have a big team or 50 employees or you are just a solopreneur, you can use automation either to save time or also increase your profit because you need less people to actually accomplish what is needed within your business. So with this small preface, what I want to show you is the main tool that we're going to use, and this is the tool also to base the ROI estimates and the tools that I suggest to all my clients, and this is make.com. So you can sign up over here to make.com. Is probably one of the best tools when it comes to starting out with automation and different things. You can sign up, get started directly within the tool. So why I'm mentioning this tool and what are the reasons for that? So what I wanted to do here is mention a couple of core concepts. So you are at least somewhat familiar with the tool. You get a little bit of an understanding of what are the core concepts. And so you can also think about how those things can be used, and when you're talking with developers, when you're talking with automation specialists, you know this concept quite well. So the concepts are essentially 4. We have scenarios, we have modules, triggers, and operations. Here I created some sort of graph to highlight every one of the different parts. So let's start with scenario first. Though scenarios is a sequence of steps of action designed to automate a process. So you can think about that as the overall task of, like here I mentioned sending a thank you email to a new customer. You can think of the scenario as the entire recipe for the task. So all the different steps and all the different processes are what makes up the scenario. The module instead is the building block of the scenario. So every single action is a module, and it represents a specific action or operation that you want to perform. So you can think about those as specific tool in a toolbox that you have available. So every different tool has a specific function. And then what you have is you have triggers. So triggers are what actually starts the scenario. So it's the signal that tells your automation when to begin. So you can think about that as a alarm clock, and when the alarm goes off, that is the signal for you to wake up. So in the same way, automation works when you receive a trigger, like when a customer signs up or when you receive a new order, that could be a trigger to start off your automations. Next and last is operations. So operations are all the actions that are performed within a scenario. In Make.com and the tool that I mentioned before, operations are also the currency of the platform. So every kind of actions that you do within the automation platform consumes operation. And the operations are the basis to calculate the ROI on your automation. So the usage of the different processes that you do are calculated in operations, and that is how you can estimate the ROI, which we will see in a couple of minutes. So as I mentioned here, this is the part related to currency, and nothing more to add over here in this instance. So right now, I want to start off with how to actually calculate the ROI on your automations, because I don't see anyone talking about that, and we have a very specific structure, and I came up with a very specific framework and structure on how to do that based on this tool and based on the actual operation concept. So the cost of each operation is $0.001. So you can think about that as 10 operations are 1 cent, 100 operations are 10 cents, and 1,000 operations are $1. So I decompose everything into these smaller chunks, not because you will use those that much, but because it's used to actually make up the automation calculation, and it can help you understand the cost of running each of the different automation within your workflows. So here I added a couple of factors that are important to consider when calculating the ROI. So we have the build cost. So build cost is how much it costs you to actually create the automation, both in terms of your resources or development resources if you're paying an external contractor or agency to do that. Operation cost each month, so how much is going to cost to keep the scenario running and the scenario executing each month. The frequency of the operation, so how often does the automated process run, whether that be like daily, weekly, monthly, or so on. And finally, the hourly cost of labor. So here you can do an average cost of your employee, and then you can use that as a reference point for the cost of labor. Or if you have a precise role that one of your process automates, you can use the hourly cost of that specific role. So those are most important factors. Now, when it comes to actually calculation steps and different things that you should calculate. First off, you should calculate the monthly operations cost. So the monthly operation cost is an equation, and there are a couple of components over here. There's the number of operations per execution. So here you should determine the number of actions that needs to be done in every kind of automation. So if you think about something like when you have a new client, you send an email. Those are 2 actions, so you can count that as a 2-action estimate. Then later on, when you design the flows and when you get a better understanding of the flows, you will know all the different actions, and you will also be able to get a better estimate out of that. But keep in mind, this will always be some sort of estimate, especially if you do this calculation at the beginning, because you can do both pre-ROI calculation and post-ROI calculation. Second point here is to multiply the number of operations per execution by the frequency of execution per month. So if, for example, you have 30 execution per month, which is a daily execution, you can multiply that by 30, and then you can multiply this by the cost of operation. This will get you the monthly operation cost. So this is the actual cost of keeping the specific automation running. Keep in mind, you can apply this process both on a single automation level, so on a single automation that you created, as well as at the bigger level where you combine multiple automation and multiple processes together. So this is really, really, really powerful. The second step over here is you calculate labor cost savings. So what you do over here is you estimate the time in hours that the automation saves per execution. So here you can calculate the time it takes one of your employees to do that specific task, or the time it takes to do a set amount of that task if they do that in bulk, and then translate that in estimated time. Multiply that by the frequency of so frequency of execution per month, which is the same metric that we used before, and then multiply that by the hourly cost. And also, don't be worried about all these numbers. You will also see a couple of examples in a minute or so. So here, this gets you the actual monthly labor cost saving. So this gives you how much you save in terms of cost per hour on a monthly basis for that specific operation. Then what you do is calculate the monthly ROI. So to calculate the monthly ROI, you do monthly labor cost saving. So what you calculated before minus monthly operational cost. So in this way, you calculate the monthly ROI that you get from that specific operation or that set of automations. And if you want to, if there's a build cost associated with that, you can calculate the payback period by dividing the build cost divided by the monthly ROI. So now let me do an example. So this is a little bit more helpful for you. We have a build cost of 1,500, operation per execution 500, frequency per month 30, hourly labor cost 30, and time saved per execution 2 hours. So those are all the numbers that we inputted over here. So the estimated monthly operation cost for a process that it takes 500 operations per execution is $15. The estimated monthly labor savings for doing the same process, if you calculate hourly labor of work time frequency, the time saved is 1,800, and then you can calculate the monthly ROI and payback period. Also here, I added an automation ROI spreadsheet that you can use to do all the calculation automatically. Okay, so enough of numbers. We go to the next step over here, which is how to actually design automation flow. So your ability to design this flow is a very key skill to have, because first off, it allows you as an entrepreneur to have a solid understanding of what is happening for each process. You can identify your potential bottlenecks in your process, and then most important is you have a visual chart of what is happening, and you can use that as a reference point to create the automation flow. And this saves a lot of time when actually creating the automation flows. So in terms of tools, what I generally suggest, Draw.io as a tool, because when you're because it's, first off, it's free. It integrates with Google Drive, so you can have a different Draw.io directly within your Google Drive, and all in all, it's a very powerful tool. So here's a quick step-by-step on designing the automation flow. First off, you clearly state the task that you want to automate, and then you add additional context if needed. So what you should do is you could use the following framework over here. So every time period, we trigger action, so action that triggers the workflow. I'd like to, and then set of action that you perform. Here's an example. So every time sending follow-up emails to a new customer, every time we receive a new sign up from a form, I like to add the customer to our email, send it to allow him to the CRM. Okay, so this is the first part, defining this. Second part is creating the list of tools that you're going to use, as well as what is the actual trigger of the workflow, because the trigger is probably one of the most important elements that you will have. So list can be something simple as the one that I have over here. So the trigger is every time a new customer signs up, the tools that you use are your CRM, HubSpot, and ConvertKit, for example, for email sending. This is also adding additional clarity that you can use in every component. Third step here is mapping out the current process. So after all this initial groundwork, what you do is you document every single step involved in the manual process. Here's an example of the process, and just to give you a couple notes, we use color coding for this, for specific parts of the process. We use red for the start of the process. We use orange for decision flows. So here, for example, we say if the contact is within ICP, we create the opportunity, and ICP can be defined as like the revenue of the customer or something along those lines. And the rest can be color or not. So here what we did is we just divided two processes for the two different tools. So those are clearly distinct, but this could either be sequential or this could be parallel, like in this instance. So and that is what I mentioned over here. So other additional component here is to add additional nodes if needed. So nodes are things that add additional context to the automation. So an example that we do over here is we either add posting notes, so additional explanation of specific steps or specific criteria. So here, for example, we say the ICP part, ICP stands for Ideal Client Profile. It's just I post it specifying what are our criteria that we use. Or the other node that we used to add is a blue node, where we add potential addition for what we like to include. So in this example, we do like we go to ConvertKit, we add a new subscriber, we add a tag to the new subscriber, and what we can do in the future possibly is if the customer comes from a specific tool or a specific format, we can give them a specific tag related to that. So the blue are generally additions or potential ideas that we like to add. Then step 5 related to this is to define any potential edge cases and breakpoints. So what you could do over here is define a potential list of why the automation might break. So a couple of things could either be email is not valid, or skip if the customer was marked as unsubscribed, or so on. The idea here is to think about those prior to the build out, so that you can capture those before, instead of capture those in real time after the build out. So the end result is something like the following. This is a scheme that we use, and this is the some sort of complete flow execution of one single flow, or one single flow as an example. So here, as you can see at the bottom, we also add this part related to triggers, edge cases. At the top, we add the explanation, and then a little bit of a fancier version for YouTube and for the people here. Important note that I always suggest everyone is to keep this as simple as possible, because when you're starting out, you probably will not design the full-fledged automation system. You will probably not design a complete system that goes from the moment you sign up your client to the moment you offboard your client. I suggest to start small and then add additional components over time. So that is generally what is the best idea over here. Now we will go to tool evaluation. The idea over here is that there are a lot of tools in the market that you can choose from. There are a lot of different things that you can choose from, but the tools that you choose really make or break your automation setup, because there are some tools that cannot be easily integrated, or there are some tools that are not reliable over the long term. So when you are actually designing this kind of systems, you need to think about those things in advance. Otherwise, you might start to build something, and then in the end, you will have an automation that you build and doesn't work anymore for like a bunch of different reasons. So what you should look out for when choosing the right software. Here I gave a couple of different criteria that you always should look at, as well as how to actually evaluate that. First off is API integration. The API or application programming interface is a way to perform the same action that you do in the browser or with the tool, such as click the button to create the opportunity or something like that, through programming or through coding. So if the software has this possibility, this means that this process can actually be automated. So this is really a very essential thing when planning out what you should use. So what you could do is you can either search on Google tool API, tool integration, tool API docs, and see whether the tool that you're using has some API or integration or something along those lines. The second point here is scalability. So you want to make sure that you choose a tool that can easily scale as your business grows and adapt without sacrificing performance, because there's nothing worse than starting to grow and more, only to do a complete platform change and transitioning from one tool to another. I strongly suggest to start right with a specific tool. I generally suggest Airtable for that, because that's one of the most flexible tools in the market, and flexibility is also another thing that we're going to talk about. But so the idea over here is always look for case studies of how other people use the tools, make sure that all the features can be implemented within your tool, and make sure that the case studies that you look for are either 2x, 5x, 10x bigger than your current situation right now. The other component here is reliability. As I mentioned before, there are dozens of tools in the market. You need to make sure that the tools that you choose stands the test of time, so it doesn't sunset from one day to another. So maybe you find the perfect tool for you, and maybe you are the person who always searches for the best tool, the new tools and something like that. But always keep in mind that you need to check for a tool that is reliable over time and you want to install in the business and you want to use for the long term. So you can either choose how many years was the tool in business, whether it was venture back or not, search for like super basic information about the tools or things about that nature can help you get a better understanding of like the general reliability of the tool. Because you can see a lot of bells and whistles on a tool, but if it doesn't stay within in the market, it doesn't matter for you over the long run. Next thing over here is flexibility and customization. So not every tool will be the exact match for you probably, but what you can look is whether that tool can fit within your specific business needs. So what you can do is you can either search if there are similar businesses using this tool in the same ways as how you want to use this, or if there's the possibility to do that by analyzing the tool in general. Last part over here is support and community. This might not be some very important thing, but this is really key when it comes to actually understanding a tool, using tool a lot, and talking about specific things that you are trying to do. So if you have a community, if the tool has a community, that is a really powerful indication of people take the tool seriously. There's a lot of power users, and a lot of people are building with that specific tool. So this is also something optional, but it's still important to see within a tool. So what I added over here is I added a tool evaluation checklist. So in the checklist, you can see You can compare the different tools and ask you different questions about that. And then the next part is here. What I did is I created a list of Upwork approved tools. So this is a like super quick list, non-exhaustive list of the tools that you can use. I will not explain all the tools here that you can look at. What I just say is that Airtable is probably one of the best tools that we use, and this is within every kind of configuration that we do as a basis to house all the other automation and house all the documentation for your business. So I strongly suggest this, and there will be also some additional videos in the future on how to build a business OS and what are the things like that. Here, there are a bunch of different tools, and those are the ones that I suggest, but you can look at more and more of these. So let's go to the next step. How to hire an automation specialist or agency and what to look for. So I suppose you are pretty busy and you don't want to deal with all the automations, all the different things within your business. You are maybe more focused on selling. You are maybe more focused on training your employee, leadership. So here is a checklist of different attributes to look for either a person or an agency like mine to do this work for you and help you with all these different steps. So first off, key attributes to look for. First thing is ROI minded. So a real expert will never say yes to all your requests, because maybe you want to automate everything and you have that mindset of let's automate this part, let's automate this other part. But in reality, it's key that the person that you are hiring always asks, why do you want to automate that? How much time it takes to actually do the work in a manual way. And it's always important to do an estimate of what is the time you or your team spends on that task, what is the time required to build a task, and things of that nature. Because as I mentioned here, it doesn't make sense to spend 10 hours to automate a task that takes 1 hour per month, for example, or per quarter. So this is a very important thing. One thing that is important when it comes to the actual ROI that is intangible is if the automation that you're building allows you to have better visibility within your business metrics. Because if you have better visibility, thanks to the automation, thanks to automated reporting or things like that, you can make better decisions and you can improve the business. Because what get measured get managed, as Peter Drucker said. So this is the first step. Second step is business understanding. So the idea here is that the automator should get a very solid understanding of your business, suggest all the possible approaches, and suggest whether to use an automation approach, an interface approach, or another kind of solution that doesn't involve any kind of automation, such as SOP processes or things like that. So this is another key component. The other third thing, and this is probably on the trendy side of things, it doesn't say it's no AI all the things approach. So right now there are a lot of people that say that all the problems can be solved with AI, and there's a little bit of truth on that, but in general, 99% of the cases this is false, because AI has major constraints, especially when it comes to communication and shipping finalized work. You always want to put a layer of human touch prior to shipping something that an AI generated, because your actual reputation is on the line. So as I mentioned here, 90% of the situation always have a human in the loop, and if you really want to remove that, please consider having a human in the loop, do an evaluation of the outputs, and optimize the system heavily before removing the human altogether. The last component that I have over here is technical proficiency. So what I always suggest and what I use also for my business, and one of the mistakes that I did in the beginning is never sending a test prior to hiring someone. So one of the easiest tests that you can run is send a project to create an automation flow based on specific requirements that you have, so you can get at least an understanding of how they think about the business, how clear is the thinking process, and if that is similar to what you envision. So in this way, if you have a specific kind of component that is already automated in the business, and you want to hire a person to do that, you already have an advantage because you know how the system is built, and if the person builds something similar on a conceptual level, it would be very, very good. So what I added over here is I added an assignment example that we use for our business when hiring different people, and this is a game changer that you can apply to your business. So always remember to test for technical proficiency. If you don't have technical proficiency within the business, ask someone to build some kind of test for you, and this is really, really key. Now, one of the last part is change management. So, as I mentioned, we went through the part where you evaluate the tool, you estimate the ROI, you hire the person, you started to implement the changes within the business, but if those are not used by you or by the business in general, by the employees, is not that useful. So the goal here of change management is make sure that all the team embraces the changes, make sure that the team is aligned with the communication and why we created some kind of automations, and make sure that most of all the people uses the automation as an enablement, and they are not threatened by it, and they say that their job is on the line because of AI or because of automation. I mean, it could be the case, but if your employees are great employees, I'm sure that they can transition from the day-to-day task that you can automate to actually more creative work and more meaningful work. So what I did over here is I gave a series of what are the practical things you can use, or what are some practical things that you can apply. First off is an idea of having an updates channel. So I generally create that for my clients within Slack, where if you want to share new features that are rolled out within the organization, you can share within this channel. So whether those are new trainings, new SOP, new automations, this helps the team be aligned and have an understanding of what is going on. So here, what I did is I created a small template of the things. Generally, you have the title of the update, brief description of the update, how it benefits the business, because I think it's really important also that people get an understanding of the why behind something, because otherwise they take everything for granted, and probably no one's want to do things because they are told so. So I think it's quite important to have that. Who should check this? So in this way, you can also have a specific person that should check a specific piece of training if needed. Link to documentation and link to training video. So documentation is the written version, training video is the video version of that. Then other 2 points is non-technical documentation. This could either be something like the training video, so a non-technical documentation of how a feature can be used, or how the update works, or like what are the actual steps that they need to do either within the interface or just so they get an understanding of that. And the third component over here is the technical part, which is not the most important thing for the actual end users, but this is important for you as a business owners when you maybe offboard the person that is the automation specialist for whatever reason, but in the end you have the documentation. So if you hire additional people, they can reference back the documentation, they can understand what was going on, and all these different things. So here, what I added over here is also I added a template of the technical documentation that we use within our business. Okay, so hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you got value out of this video. Really, there was a ton of content. You can find the link in the description of the complete automation guide if you wanted to. If you got value out of that, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel so you can see more automation guides, more automation tutorials. We do some sort of automation high-level guides like the following, as well as more in-depth use cases or specific automation, either related to AI or not, that can grow the business. If you're also a service-based business and you're looking to automate your business, you can schedule a call with me. You can find the link over here in the document or in the description. So hope you like everything over here. Hope it was useful for you, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.